Iran is drawing a new red line in Hormuz as it is reportedly demanding that American naval vessels be excluded from the waterway as negotiations move toward a new shipping arrangement. Tehran is seeking to push the US Navy out of the Gulf's most vital waterway, framing the demand as part of Iran and Oman's sovereign authority over navigation through Hormuz. Is this Iran's Hormuz victory? Trump now faces Tehran's naval demands as an emerging deal appears set to acknowledge a major Iranian role in overseeing shipping. No more gunboat diplomacy. That is the message from Tehran. Iran wants Hormuz cleared of US warships and managed under a framework led by the two countries that border the strait, Iran and Oman. Tehran is setting new rules for Hormuz as Washington weighs a major concession, a deal that could give Iran oversight over ships entering the Persian Gulf. Iran is claiming sovereign rights as a Hormuz shipping deal takes shape. Officials say talks with Oman focus on safe transit, national security, and the territorial rights of both states. Tehran's position is clear: lift the US blockade on Iranian ports, and Iran will discuss restoring navigation. But any reopening of Hormuz, it says, must happen on its terms. The Wall Street Journal reports Iranian officials are seeking to bar US Navy warships from using the Strait of Hormuz, even as a draft commercial shipping deal nears completion. The demand is part of wider negotiations on a proposed agreement aimed at reopening the key waterway and preventing a broader Gulf escalation. Tehran's move signals a direct push to curb America's long-standing military presence in the Gulf, particularly around the narrow Hormuz choke point. US officials have told mediators they will not accept Iranian restrictions on shipping, including Tehran's past demand to collect tolls or service fees. The draft plan would create an inbound shipping lane close to Iran's coast and an outbound lane near Oman, a route designed to divide traffic between the two sides of the strait. Iran says its talks with Oman are about safe routes, security, and the sovereign rights of both countries, not direct talks with Washington. Under the reported arrangement, the US would lift its blockade of Iranian ports if Tehran allows Hormuz to reopen without impediments to commercial shipping. Iran says the strait will not simply return to its pre-war management model. Tehran insists that the future of navigation must reflect Iranian and Omani control over their territorial waters. Earlier reports indicated Iran wanted a new Hormuz framework that excludes military vessels, a demand that would directly challenge the US naval presence in the Gulf. Tehran has also sought greater control over shipping traffic, as well as compensation for war damage and guarantees against further attacks. Iran and Oman have held multiple rounds of talks on the future management of navigation through Hormuz, including maritime services, safe passage, and the costs involved. Qatar and other regional mediators are pushing for an agreement to prevent the Hormuz crisis from spiraling into a wider Gulf confrontation. Senior Iranian cleric Abdolnabi Musaffar said Tehran was preparing to increase the range of its missiles to 15,000 kilometers, although he offered no operational details or evidence that such a weapon already exists. Speaking on August 7, Musaffar said the extended missile range would enable Iran to strike the United States, using the claim to warn Washington that it could face direct consequences of future escalation. Musaffar added that Iran's existing missile force could already reach Israel, which he described as roughly 2,000 kilometers away, highlighting Tehran's established regional strike capability before claiming a future intercontinental reach. Musaffar said, and I quote, "We are preparing ourselves so that the American people, too, will see what it is like to be hit by missiles, and understand what it means to be left in blood and destruction." End quote. Musaffar also said he hoped Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu would be destroyed by Iranian forces, reinforcing the highly confrontational tone of his remarks toward both Israel and the United States. The cleric's statement came as Iran and Oman said they had reached an understanding on coordinates for a shipping route through the Strait of Hormuz, with a joint announcement reportedly in the final drafting stage. The comments also surfaced amid reports that the US had used nearly 80% of its pre-war THAAD interceptor stock, but that figure remains contested by Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth and should not be treated as confirmed fact. The US military used nearly 80% of its THAAD interceptor stockpile during the Iran conflict, according to a CNN report. Reports also say the United States has expended roughly half of its Patriot missile inventory since the conflict with Iran began. Senior US military commanders are reportedly warning that stockpiles of several key precision munitions have reached dangerously low levels. The THAAD air defense system plays a critical role in intercepting ballistic missiles at high altitudes and protecting strategic military assets. Patriot air defense systems have also been used extensively to intercept Iranian ballistic missiles, cruise missiles, and drone attacks throughout the conflict. CNN reported that the U.S. Army has consumed virtually all of its available long-range precision strike missiles during recent operations. Army Tactical Missile Systems, or ATACMS, were among the precision weapons reportedly depleted after months of sustained combat operations. The report also said the Army's newer precision strike missiles, or PRSMs, were heavily consumed during recent military operations. U.S. stockpiles of Tomahawk cruise missiles have also reportedly declined significantly following months of intensive military operations. The Center for Strategic and International Studies estimated the United States possessed approximately 452 THAAD interceptors before the conflict began. CIS also estimated that the United States had roughly 2,200 modern Patriot interceptor missiles before the outbreak of the war. The shrinking missile inventories have raised concerns about America's readiness for potential high-intensity conflict in the Indo-Pacific region. Several Gulf allies have reportedly warned that lower U.S. missile stockpiles could weaken regional defenses against future missile and drone threats. A number of America's regional partners rely heavily on THAAD and Patriot air defense systems to protect critical energy infrastructure. CNN reported that concerns over munitions shortages were discussed before President Trump decided to halt planned military strikes against Iran. Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth reportedly received the initial authorization before the planned operation was later placed on hold. On August 4, Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth publicly rejected CNN's report and denied claims that the U.S. military is facing a critical weapons shortage. A new report claimed the U.S. has used virtually all of its long-range precision missiles during the war with Iran, raising fresh concerns over America's military stockpiles. The depleted inventory reportedly includes Army Tactical Missile Systems, or ATACMS, along with newer precision strike missiles, according to the Times of Israel. Sources told the report that the prolonged 5-month conflict had sharply reduced U.S. inventories of key long-range precision-guided weapons. The report said the declining missile stockpile has raised concerns about America's readiness to respond to any future large-scale military conflict. Analysts warned that shrinking inventories could weaken U.S. deterrence against major adversaries such as Russia and China if another crisis emerged. One source said U.S. Central Command had replenished part of its inventory by transferring munitions from other regional commands during the conflict. However, the sources declined to reveal how many ATACMS or precision strike missiles the United States still has available in its remaining arsenal.
Upgrade your news experience with the all-new HT app. Download now.